All right. All right. This coming to us today from the great state of Texas is Amanda Hunt. And this is uh, our spotlight session for today. Her session is on back to school, you know, do's, don'ts, and just getting prepared and ready for that first day back with the children. So make sure that you take some good notes because Amanda always has some great ideas. All right, Amanda, take it away.
Yay! Thank you so much, Casey. I swear we did not plan this, but like Deb and I have some of the same information. So I feel like I love that she went before me, so that I could kind of feed into a lot of what she shared. And we do present a lot, so that's not surprising that that happened. But yes, my name is Amanda Hunt. I go by the Next Gen Librarian all across the social medias. My link for today is tiny.cc/ capital BTS Boss 24. And thank you so much, Katie. She dropped it in the chat. It'll come up again at the end. Just real quickly, I am a middle school 6th through 8th library media specialist in South Central Texas. I am also our secondary lead librarian for our district. Like Deb, I'm involved in a lot of things in TLA, and ALA and AASL, and just love ed tech tools and love using it for the library with my students and my staff. So let's go ahead and get into it. I don't know how I kind of got this reputation, but I did is like for orientation and back to school ideas. In 2021, I wrote a blog because I was having a lot of people reach out on social media about different ways that you can do your orientation with your students and just things that you can do with staff to get them excited and get them into the library throughout the school year. So I wrote a blog for that. And on this right here, this is what I shared last year. It was also in Deb's presentation. If you are to click this image, you will be able to see that all of these links are clickable, are usable. You take them and do whatever you want with them. I left this in here just because I knew it would show up. Like if you searched back to school ideas, this and my blog shows up pretty frequently. But this is actually the one I'm going to be sharing out this school year so that other librarians who weren't able to make it to Boss PD would be able to access it. And so this will be like kind of what I'm walking us through today. Every year I like to start the year doing something different. So, I like to get kids excited about the school year, and if I'm not excited about it, they're not gonna be excited about it. So I like to do different orientations like every year. I've done Goose Chase, I've done Family Feud, and I've found that while yes, it's great to have like a revolving presentation, or yes, there's information that you do have to share, stand up and share, the kids really like to be involved in your orientations and what you're doing. So this year I'm actually going to be doing a Jeopardy game. And I've linked it here, but I did want to bring up this like blank screen so you can kind of see. This is a free template site to use. My teachers use it all the time, especially my social studies teachers, to just create games and stuff like that. So I'm going to be mainly using this with my 7th and 8th grade library orientation because they were here last year as 6th and 7th graders on my campus. So they know the answers to a lot of the trivia questions about like where things are located, how to access ebooks, all that kind of stuff. And so basically, I just need a refresher for them. So I will be doing like they'll be having teams, they'll compete for different prizes that I have. So it gets kids up, it gets them excited, it gets them out of their comfort zone and in like a fun gaming activity, which I love to gamify the library. If you know me, that's like my thing, is that I feel like kids learn best when they play. And so yes, the link to all of this stuff is in the presentation, which we can drop again in the slides. But the jeopardylabs.com is a free site that does allow you to create your own Jeopardy game, which I will be doing. I haven't made it yet just because I know that there's some things that are going to be changing when we get back to school, and I want to make sure I have the correct information. in the slides. So once I do make it, I will share it across all my social media platforms. Like Deb, I love to share. I love putting everything out there because like sharing is caring. We're all librarians. We're in this together. So anything I make, I always share the template. And if I don't, for some reason you can't find it, please let me know and I'll happily share that with you as well. I did include the blog because it still has some good stuff in there. If you're into doing breakout, like if you're a breakout EDU fan, or just if you've done escape rooms in your classroom before, Deb created a great breakout game that I've used before, and you can take it and adapt it to any rules at any time. It doesn't have to be for the beginning of the year. I do personally hate I will say I do I hate icebreakers personally. So it's so funny that like I'm like, oh, here's a great little icebreaker for you to use with your kids. But it's definitely that's the link to my blog. But yeah, so it's definitely one that you can use to get to know your students. If you have the bingo card up and it's like find someone that also likes to read romance, or find someone that is wearing a blue shirt or whatever. Like you can have the kids get to know each other that way. And then this was the orientation that, if it'll click, yes, this is the orientation that I used last year just because I did have to get some information out there. And I just went over like library procedures, classroom procedures, just like basic stuff of like what is involved with them and that they needed to know before we did the fun game stuff. So I realize that you guys do have to share. We do have to share like actual information when we do orientation. But I used Canva in that creation. And if you need the template link for that, I can share that as well. I did just share the presentation link because I just wanted you to kind of get an idea. And obviously, like your roles are different than mine. But if you want the template link, just let me know and I can drop that in there as well. Our friend Z Library Chica made these up, which I absolutely loved. And it's a way to get kids up and moving if you wanted to do stations. And again, don't have to do this at the beginning of the year. This can be done anytime. But she would have different stations around the library that have to do with different parts of the library. So like we have our ride and read bikes where kids can bike while they read. So that could have been a station that kids can learn about, check in, check out, the teaching area. I wish we had a library cafe and bistro in my library, but we don't. But yeah, it'd be like where you could search on Destiny, all that kind of stuff. So you can use stations. That's another fun way to do orientation as well. So lots of ideas of ways for you to share information about the library, but also to make it fun for kids because otherwise they're going to be bored and we don't want that, right? Deb really talked about toilet talks, potty PD, whatever you want to call it, library in the loo, in her last presentation. So I'm not going to go too much into it. But I do love toilet talks mainly because technology is ever changing, right? We very much are constantly learning about new things, even with AI. I'll get a new ed tech tool that has to do with artificial intelligence, and I will get really into it. And then the next week, it's already changed and updated. So I like that every month I'm able to share new information with my teachers that's up to date on an app that maybe is still like I wouldn't put Flip in as into one of my things, right? Because Flip is going away. So that's what I like about Toilet Talks is that it's quick, it's easy, and then if teachers have more questions, they can find me and follow up that way, right? I do a welcome back newsletter. This is the template link. So if I wanted to edit that template, I would bring it up. It has like my business card, it has my calendar link, it has just a few little tips, the loyalty card from Martha Bongiorno that we did last year. Absolutely huge hit. And I did it with teachers as well. And then I started an adult book club on my campus. And I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do that. Whether you're at an elementary school, a middle school, a high school, college, kid, wherever you are, please consider doing an adult book club, even if it's like you and one other person. I promise it is one of the best things I did last year for campus culture. You find out so much about your staff. You create those connections around books that are so amazing outside and then of school, and then it leads into that relationship on campus as well. So if you're struggling to get your math team in the library because they feel like they don't understand how that can work, and you do this adult book club where you're reading like an Emily Henry book and y'all are talking about stuff and you get to see them outside of school in a comfort zone, out of their comfort zone, in a fun way, it really helps bond teachers together over books, which yes, that's what we want. And definitely helps create that relationship that you're not going to get sitting down at a faculty meeting and be like, hey, do you want to partner with me? Probably not, because they're not thinking about that right now. And so it really it's one of the best things I've done. It's helped me see teachers outside of school as like more human. Sometimes we get very stuck in the ways of this is how they present themselves on campus. That must be how they are. And we learn that maybe they're struggling through things and they're going through stuff outside of school. And so it definitely humanizes our coworkers. And sometimes it's hard as a singleton on campus. Okay, I'll quickly go Laura, I'm gonna quickly go through my book club because it is literally one of my favorite things. So we called it After Hours Book Club. It is done solely through the app GroupMe, because that way we're not using school email to talk about a smutty book if that happens to be what we chose, or a murder book, because again, we don't want that on our school email. So we use GroupMe, and in GroupMe, there are features that you can create a poll. And so like we'll talk about, do we want a theme? Do we want it to be like a particular author? And then we pick from that. So it's just something that we talk about when we meet for the next month. And then we also do a poll to see what day and time works best for everyone. Not everybody can make it. This is not supposed to be a guilt thing or something else to add to your plate thing. I had somebody that made it to one the whole last year, and that was 100% fine. And she still considers herself part of the book club because she is. And life is so hard and chaotic and crazy that yeah, you're not going to make it to every single one. I actually missed the one that they did yesterday at our new Barnes and Noble, and I was so sad to miss it. But again, that's one of those things that like life gets in the way, but I want it to be consistent and every month so that they know that if they can't get to it this month, they'll get to it the next month, right? So definitely think about starting a book club. And then this is just some other stuff that I share. Obviously, ChatGPT and AI was huge last year, and our teachers were still kind of unsure about it. I share about my clubs. I make sure the teachers know about the clubs in addition to the students, because I want them really to be able to talk about them when kids ask in like advisory and stuff. Love you, Celeste. And so then I also have gamification with teachers that I like to do. This is a presentation I did at AASL with Karina Quilontan Garza, and we talked about using gamification to teach our teachers, right? So we have the Potty PD where they scan a QR code, they do a little learning when they're in the loop. But if they want to do something like lunch and learn, or they want to do like an appy hour where you're doing something after school where it's a quick little pop-up PD event, you can do this multiple ways. Like you can co-teach with your technology director in your district. You can get together with other librarians, other teachers on your campus that are using the technology tool that you're going to talk about. But regardless, it's a great way to teach teachers. Okay. So whether you're doing an app or you're doing a new professional development book, I have partnered with our instructional coach on our campus for the last 6 years. And every year we pick different professional development books and we do a book study with it. And the teachers earn professional development credit, just like they would learn if you did a gamification situation where you did a training on an ed tech tool. They would earn credit, right? But we also add badging with it too, so that they can display it outside their classroom or they can display it in their email signature. I'm real big on badging and micro credentials, as you can see from my email signature that is covered in them, because I want people to know that like I know stuff. Like I take the time out of my personal life to learn and educate myself on all of these different tools so that I can best help my students and my staff and other librarians across the nation, right? And beyond. And so like when I'm offering these things, when I'm offering an ed tech session, I want them to know that I have done the work ahead of time. I am knowledgeable enough to be able to train them on this particular topic. Same thing with The PD. I do want to talk about that for a second because for a long time, my instructional coach and I would pick books, right? We would pick professional development books. We started with Kids Deserve It by Todd Neslony and Adam Welcome. And that book really set off a chain of events on our campus that we haven't seen since because it was all about culture and it was all about our campus culture and how we really needed to buy into that time spent with our students and our staff to really make our place, our school, the best place to work and the best place to be for our students. So it was a really amazing thing that we did, and it led to us every year doing different professional development books. But then last year, year before last, we decided to do podcasts for PD. Podcasting is like taken off, like as you know, like so many librarians have podcasts now on lots of different topics. School Librarians United obviously is our Bible when it comes to podcasts in the school librarian world. And it very much was important for us at this time to have something new, unique, and also adaptable, right? Like we wanted to make sure that our teachers were getting the PD that they needed. And when you pick a PD book, you're usually looking at the physical one, right? Now, they could also get the audiobook with that, and that's awesome as well. But we really wanted to look at accessibility. So with podcasting, we picked and choose different topics ranging from social emotional learning to technology in the classroom to how to teach in a post-pandemic world, all of these different topics, and we put them together in a playlist. And what we did is the teachers were able to pick and choose the ones they wanted to listen to, and then they reflected using this form and they were able to earn credit for it. This was such a huge hit in my school. I can't even tell you. Like this, not only because I wrote about it on this blog, it ended up getting like a lot of attention. I was featured on a bigger podcast. Actually, one of the podcasts that we included had me on to discuss just lots of different ways that the teachers were getting out of it. And it was Easy Ed Tech podcast with Monica Burns. And she had me on to talk about the impact that this had on my teachers. And it ended up being such a big deal that we won an award for TLA for it. So I very much am a proponent of this. If you are interested in this at all, literally this has everything you'll need to create your own and have teachers kind of be able to listen to podcasts, get what they want out of it, choose the ones that they're interested in, and then be able to reflect on that and get credit for it, right? Because they did learn through that way. And then yes, I will definitely, if they're view only links, I will absolutely change them to template. Sometimes I feel like, oh, nobody really wants to edit this. And then yes, you do. So I will definitely go and change those. Uh, these are some more resources that I wanted to be sure to include. Lauren, girl, I got you. So yes, if you are a librarian that has not listened to Library Unlock podcast, you need to get yourself to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen and download that whole first season from Lauren because she has new stuff coming out in season 2 that I cannot wait for. And it is just such a great way to listen to a conversation between Lauren and other librarians and get ideas, right? Because how many times, I mean, like we love Boss Librarian. She's not gonna change her mind. We're not gonna let her, right, Casey? But we love getting so much out of Boss Librarian PD, right? And it's 3 days in July. And if we could do it all the time, if we could do it every month, if we could listen and learn from each other all the time, like how great would that be, right? And so if you haven't listened to that too, you very much need to, because I got so many ideas from that last year. Um, and then Nikita has a question. I'll go ahead and take questions. You can say it or type it in the chat. That's fine. Are you there? Okay. If you are, just interrupt me and that's fine. I love using Adobe Express with my students. I really want to talk about that one for just a second because I feel like with Canva, yes, we love Canva so much. It's free. I hope that it stays free forever. But Adobe Express 100% is free for K-12 in educators. And if you don't have that button turned on in your district, you need to make sure, you need to ask why not. because it really is doing the next level thing that librarians need to know when it comes to generative AI. All of their images are owned by Adobe, right? So if you are using Gen AI, you're using Firefly or using the Gen AI features in Adobe Express, you are going to make sure that you're using their images. If you're using Magic and Canva, you don't know where those images are coming from and you don't know how to give credit for that. And so if you're teaching being responsible with Gen AI, you're going to want to use Adobe Express with your students. So that's 100% when I'm going to put a lot of my attention in this year and be very intentional when it comes to AI, because I want kids to know that they need to make sure where all of these images are coming from and who they're giving credit to create the image that you just typed in and asked for, right? So it's important that we are being responsible with this new generation of artificial intelligence, right? So that's my little soapbox about AI. And then obviously Canva for educators. If you don't have a free account, like why not? It's amazing that they offer that. The Achievery offers free lessons K-12 in all subjects, all content areas. Like I use it for my digital citizenship lessons with my students in the library. I use it on how to use social media responsibly. Um, I love that it's all different age levels so that the videos aren't too kiddie, right? Because I have middle school and they're going to call it cringe before it even finishes playing if it is not cool. So the Achievery really has it leveled really well. And so my kids aren't like, oh, this is too babyish. And, or, and so highly recommend taking a look at the Achievery. It's free through AT&T. It's something that they just started building, and the library gets bigger every single time I check and use it. So yeah, Deb also talked about my library programming and contests. So if you click on that, it'll take you to all these different ideas. Some of them I mentioned, some of them I haven't. But definitely something I like to put out there for teachers and librarians to use. I had somebody ask a question about the bikes. A few bikes in the station, the one $2,000. Mine was 250 on Amazon. It's FitDesk. So if you are thinking about getting a read and ride bike, I highly recommend that one. I've had them for 5 years now. Yes, things have fallen off. Yes, things sorry. I work with middle school students and they aren't, we can't have nice things, right? I say it all the time. We can't have nice things. So it's okay to me though that some of that stuff has fallen off because the bikes still work, the dust still work. It's all good. So just kind of think about that if you are purchasing that, and just know what you're going to get out of it for the time that you have it. Because yeah, they always go crazy when I tell them not to. I'm like, it's not a Peloton. Don't go crazy. It's not a Peloton. And they do it anyway. But yeah, if you're looking for other grant ideas, fundraising, things like that, I know that Casey really hyped up Teamu. I used it a lot for my first Comic-Con this year, like crazy amount, because you can get so much bulk for a cheap amount. But if you're about to write a grant or things like that, Phil can like take all of this, research it, see what works best for you and your students. The Librarian Starter Kit is a presentation that I think Deb and I did. That if you are a new librarian, and you just want something like handed to you for the whole year, this is it. So even if you're not a new librarian, like I take ideas from this and I get all kinds of stuff like, oh, this August, I want to do a year in review, so I better start paying attention to it. And then like in September, oh, it's International Dot Day. I forgot about that. I want to use this presentation with the kids and do this activity. So I say new librarian, but really I just mean you are looking for fresh ideas for month by month, then take a look at that presentation that Deb and I did. And then library stats. Deb talked about that, and I'm so hyped that she did, because we don't think about this enough until like the end of the year. But if you're intentional about it every single month, and when Deb posts hers, that's when I remember to like post mine and like really think about which ones like every month that I need to be sharing out. That gets me thinking about it, and it has me writing stuff down. So I added new stuff this year on mine. I added the conferences that I attended, and that's not including the ones I went to this summer. So I can add those and then share this again in the fall, so that you know everything I did over the summer on my own time. And then all the different events and programs that I hosted, how many badges and ambassadorships that I have. I won 3 grants this year for my campus. And so it just really is great for stakeholders. It's great for all of your people that are like paying attention and thinking about, I need to get rid of something this year. Should it be the library? No, it shouldn't. And this is why. And so if you're not sharing this out and sharing that information with people on the daily, just kidding. At least monthly. Like I send it to my principal and my assistant principals and our assistant superintendent, so that in our curriculum specialists, so that they can see all the different things that we are doing on our campus. I also use social media in that way. I send everything to our social media team for the district, like everything. Do they use everything? No. But when they have a lull and they're like, "Ooh, what can we include? We haven't thought of something from this school yet." Boom, Amanda's in their inbox, because I want them to know that we are doing stuff on the daily in the class, like class period by class period. You should come and see what we're doing. And so I want that shared on social media. And that's going to be what parents see, that's going to be what the board sees. That's going to be the best way to show what is happening in your library. So if you are not involved in social media, and even it doesn't have to be even you, get with your social media team for your district and have them start coming out to your library. Send them photos of what you're doing. I cannot highlight that enough. I try to tell my librarians that all the time, because I want them to know that we have to be intentional. And the best advice I got was from Becky Calzada about this, because she was like, we have to be proactive and not reactive. And so if you're thinking book banning, you're thinking, what's the best way that what we can do for libraries right now is to show the amazing things that we're doing. So that way, when some, crazy person comes and says that we're doing all of these things in our library that we're not doing, they'll be like, absolutely not. Like I saw on Instagram the other day, right? Is that, yes, thank you, Casey. She runs it for her school. So I'm not trying to add something to your plate, but I will say you need to be a part of that conversation. That needs to be something that you are involved in, and that you are hyping the library any chance you get. And then at the bottom, I just included some back to school middle grade and young adult book lists. So that if you are looking for a display, you're looking for books to order, you're looking for anything to put in your library, I do those pretty regularly. I have a Google Drive folder that's linked in my bio on all my social media platforms, that has hundreds and hundreds of them. So if you are ever needing help with purchasing titles, feel free to reach out to me. That's like literally collection development's one of my favorite things. That's why I read so much, because I want to know what we're reading and what we're putting into our libraries. So that is a fast and furious look at that. All of you that commented that you want template links, I will go back and make sure they all are template links. And then please let me know if I missed any other questions or comments. Thank you so much, all of you that are here today and fighting that good fight for school librarians. So thank you, Casey. And now it's awkward.
I told y'all to have your pen and paper ready. Okay. Always a wealth of information that you share. Thank you so much, Amanda. It's so good to see you again.
You too, girl.
And it was really interesting to see what you're doing now. Um, there's a lot of stuff in there that you're doing that I want to incorporate. Give her some love. Look at all the love that you're getting in the chat.